Hi everyone! Today in the Huckleberry Garnet Rock Shop, we are checking our Coarse tumbler to see how it looks. It's been running for the 8 days now at speed 3. So I'm going to take it over, we'll take the tops off and take a rinse, walk you through it. I'll take this over now and we'll put these in the bin in the sink in my little tub and we'll give it a wash and see how they look. I use this little bucket here. It makes it easy to fill up and screen off the plastic pellets off the top. I'll give a final rinse in the barrel here when they're in the vibratory tumbler. I usually give these a little hand swirl just to loosen up any of the pellets that are stuck. And we will rinse these off before we put them in the vibratory. I use a little mesh screener like this. It makes it really easy to scoop off the pellets. Give them a nice rinse. I have a jar labeled C on the top for Coarse. This is where I keep my extra plastic pellets from previous tumbling. That way I can reuse them the next time. One of the things to keep in mind when you're doing your tumbling, as they caution in all of it, please do not dump this down your regular household drain, as it will clog it. When it dries out, it's like cement, okay? So please, don't do that. Some people do drain it off and then they reuse their tumbling grit. I've found so far, because our garnet hardness is actually a little closer to an 8, that I really don't have much grit left after we're done with this. I'm going to go ahead and transfer these to my little strainer, and I'll give them a final wash off and take a look, and then I'll put them into our vibratory tumbler. Whoops, sometimes that happens. At least they mostly all fall into my bucket. I usually rinse these until the water in the bottom here runs pretty clear. And I also check to see, like this, where there's some cracks in it. Those are fractures, which is the nature of the material. Although a lot of it will come out like this. It's pretty well smoothed off. But this is why I run it through our vibratory tumbler, to get in these little cracks and get any grit that might be in there, hopefully to shake it out. I think overall they look pretty good for having been through coarse grit. So now we'll take them over and put them into our vibratory tumbler, this little guy right here. And I'll let them run for about 5 minutes. I use a little jet dry, this stuff right here. Just a little bit of it, a couple. There you go. We'll fill this up with water and let it run. I always got to make sure that my top is tightened down all the way. And we'll let it run for about 5 minutes here. So while the vibratory is running, I usually come over and I scrub off all my tumbler parts and make sure that these edges are nice and clean. I have this nice little handy scrub brush here. I can squeeze my soap and use the bristles to clean along these edges right here. And always make sure your lip right here and in the bottom of the barrel down there, that there's nothing left in those corners, okay? The vibratory is all done, and as you can see here, the water's a little murky. That's taken some of that extra, if there was any in the cracks, and now most of it's hopefully out of it. So now I'll give them a nice rinse. I've transferred these to the screen again, so I want to make sure that I've got all of the jet dry off of them. And we'll give them a final rinse here. Some of them are looking pretty nice. This little guy here. Not sure if you can see that, but you can see all the way through it. So this will be a nice little piece of facet grade. This one may possibly have some asterism in the middle of it there. We'll have to see how it looks after it's polished. And some of them are not always, you know, they're not always even. They do have some fractures in them. This barrel here is the one I use for medium grit. So go ahead and add these in. I'm using 1.5 ounces of grit per pound of garnet. And then I add my filler pellets here, my medium grit ones that I saved from last time. Try to make sure that I leave enough room at the top, about that inch, so that they mix really well. So now I'll add water up to where it needs to be. And I'll also make sure that this rim here is clean, so that way I've got a really good seal right here. You always want to make sure that this is down firmly against the rim. Make sure the very top is on, nice and tight. I'll run this for 8 days at speed 3.